And joining us on the broadcast today is Prabhu Dayal. He is former senior diplomat. Sir, first of all, a very warm welcome to DD Indian News. Trump and Zelensky will meet in Florida really soon, and both leaders had earlier met as well. You know it, and we all know it. What do you make of this meeting as far as ending the conflict is concerned?
Well, Siddharth, thanks for having me on your show.
Pleasure, sir.
Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelensky's meeting with US President Donald Trump
Right.
on December 28th in Florida
Right.
is critical because it represents a high-stakes attempt to finalize a peace deal to secure a long-term protection for Ukraine after nearly 4 years of war. Now, the timing of the meeting is extremely important as it takes place immediately after Russia launched a massive barrage of nearly 500 drones and missiles at Kyiv. I think last night was a sleepless one for Ukrainians in their capital city of Kyiv because they faced an almost 10-hour-long bombardment by Russian drones and missiles that lasted into the morning. It was the latest in the string of Christmas-time strikes by Russia, and about a third of Kyiv grapples with a loss of electricity from the strikes in freezing winter temperatures. Now, the meeting is also important in the sense that Trump has positioned himself as the decisive figure capable of brokering peace between Kiev and Moscow. He has stated that Zelensky doesn't have anything at all until he approves it, making it his personal endorsement the sort of make or break factor for any diplomatic breakthrough. Now, after a public and confrontational shouting match in the Oval Office earlier this year,
Yeah.
Zelensky has launched a charm offensive to repair his relationship with Trump and to ensure that he remains a trusted partner in the eyes of the US administration. So, therefore, this meeting is going to be of vital importance for Zelensky because he's seeking Trump's formal approval for a new 20-point peace plan. Now, this plan is a revised version of an earlier US draft that many felt was too favorable to Russia. Now, Zelensky has stated that the agreement is about 90% ready, and he hopes this meeting will reduce unresolved issues to a minimum before the new year. A central priority, therefore, for Zelensky is obtaining NATO-like security guarantees from the US. He signaled a willingness to drop Ukraine's bid to join NATO in exchange for these strong, binding protections to ensure that Russia does not invade again in the future. So Trump and Zelensky will be discussing sensitive territorial issues, including the fate of the Donbass region and the Zaporizhzhia nuclear power plant. And Zelensky has proposed compromises like a free economic zone in the Donbass under the Ukrainian administration, while Russia continues to demand full withdrawal of Ukraine from these areas. And let me just add that the meeting will also cover a roadmap for Ukraine's post-war reconstruction, which is estimated at $700 to $800 billion, and potential arms deals. Zelensky is also pushing for continued military aid, specifically for drone production and high-precision weapons like the Tomahawk missiles, which Trump has previously been hesitant to provide.
Sir, I want to ask you here is that security guarantees and post-war construction, everything will come later. But what actually matters is the truce. What actually matters is the complete stoppage of the conflict, which is actually happening, and because of which, millions of people have lost their lives, and the infrastructure damage, we all know that. Trump and Zelensky, they're expected to discuss many things, including peace plan, security guarantees. But my question here is that, again, I would go back there. Things like security guarantees will come once there would be all-out peace. Are these discussions relevant at this time?
Well, let us recall that on the campaign trail, Trump had said on dozens of occasions, in a very serious tone, that he would end the war in Ukraine either within 24 hours of his return or just even sooner than that.
But I
So
believe,
therefore,
but
the
sir,
fact is that
sir,
despite his efforts, ending the Russia-Ukraine war is not happening. There are some serious problems.
yeah,
The territorial one is very, very important.
I think that's the main
Russia
issue.
wants,
I think that's the main issue.
that's a very important issue, as I mentioned
Because
earlier in
Kiev is
my.
saying that we will not give territory. There would be no territorial concession, and that is the issue on which Russia is fighting for. I mean, the 20 plan peace point which is there, the territorial concessions, I believe, is also mentioned. And apart from that, there are some other issues. But this being the main issue is actually being an impediment when it comes to the truce between both the sides, isn't it?
It is indeed the most important issue because while Russia wants Ukraine to cede territory, Ukraine is not willing to give up sovereignty over any of its territories. But there are other issues also. The security guarantees are very important because one of the main factors which led to this war was Russia's objection to Ukraine wanting to join NATO. And therefore, the sort of situation in which Zelensky finds himself is very intriguing because, on the one hand, if he wants an end to this war, he has to give up his ambition of taking Ukraine into NATO. And on the other hand, if he gives it up, what sort of security guarantees does he have? So this aspect is also very important.
Indeed. And
There
do
are
you, sir,
so
do you think, sir, that Ukraine's NATO plans are now out of contention?
Well, it seems so because he is willing to give up Ukraine's membership desires of NATO, but in return he wants very, very firm NATO-like security guarantees. But of course, as you said, the territorial issues are paramount
Yeah.
because Ukraine doesn't want to give
Right.
up any of its territory, while Russia is insistent on Ukraine doing so. And Russia has said that it will continue to occupy the territories, in fact, enlarge. Uh, and it is very, very insistent that Ukraine's claims on eastern territories of its
You're right.
nation be
You're right.
given up. So the territorial impediment is indeed very significant.
Definitely. And Article 5 NATO-like guarantees, we'll have to wait and see whether Ukraine will get that or not. However, Ukraine is continuously asking for security guarantees, but we'll have to wait and see whether Ukraine will get those guarantees or not. In the latest draft, both the leaders will discuss, the latest draft which is there. It also includes several points that Moscow has said are unacceptable, including a peacetime Ukrainian army, language about a proposed demilitarized zone in the country's eastern Donbas region. Will US be able to agree Moscow on these conditions?
You know, the 20-point plan, which Zelensky made public on the 24th of December, and which he had really drafted because he objected to the original 28-point plan, which had been worked out by the Americans in a dialogue with the Russians, which Ukraine had thought was unfavorable. So Zelensky has worked out, in consultation with his European allies, a 20-point plan. And I think this entire 20-point plan will be discussed during his meeting with Trump. And that includes several of the issues which I had outlined during my initial presentation to you.
Definitely. Sir, other issues are also expected to be discussed, including the Zaporizhzhia nuclear power plant. How crucial would that be? Because some experts have warned of a nuclear disaster there.
Well, indeed, because of its very strategic location.
Yeah.
It has the potential of becoming a site for a nuclear disaster. That is why there is a lot of keenness in working out some sort of an arrangement. It seems that Ukraine is willing to have a direct arrangement with the United States for control by both countries on this. Now, there is some issue relating to the Russian involvement, because the Russians also want to be sort of shareholders in this, and the Trump administration is quite willing to let them have that sort of a position. Of course, Zelensky is not willing, but this issue will, of course, be very, very important. Who controls the Zaporizhzhia power plant? And how much involvement do the Russians have. The Russians are not going to give up their interest in also having a share in controlling this power plant.
Definitely, and I believe they haven't connected that plant to electrical grid yet. Even after taking over the Zaporizhzhia power plant, we'll have to wait and see what will happen with the Zaporizhzhia power plant. And but according to you, this meeting is coming at a very crucial time when both the leaders, Zelenskyy and President Trump, will be meeting. Meeting is yet to take place. We'll have to wait and see what will come out of that meeting. But thank you so much, sir, for joining in on DD India News. Thank you so much.
Thank you.